Hello, everyone, and good evening. Welcome to Adam's TV Podcast. I am your host, Adam Samuel. Today, we're talking America's Got Talent, the Champions Week 5. There's a lot of good talent, a lot of good acts to get through today. This was a hard night for me to try to figure out my top three, but joining me to go through it all is my co-host, Eric. How are you doing today, Eric?
Doing good. For me, it was a pretty easy pick for the top three, but of those three, I could have made a case for any of them, and it would have been difficult.
I gotta say, going into this episode, looking at the talent, I was thinking to myself, this week is stacked. Like there's a lot going on, and coming out of the performances of the episode, the fact that Jackie Evancho was not number one on my list, that says something. Like there was a lot to get through. There was some acts that I feel that were pretty brutally like cut and deserved to maybe advance. We'll talk about it, but let's kind of get to the headlines of this episode. We have two acts moving through. One whose name I'm going to horribly butcher, so I'm going to say it last. But first is Eric's golden buzzer from the last season of America's Got Talent, which we podcasted about, Shin Lim. Eric, how do you feel about your band Shim advancing?
Shin, I'm very happy for Shin. And that's the tough thing. The two who advanced were in my top three, but the problem is it's tough because I'm also have a huge soft spot for one of the other contestants.
Maybe we might need a real-life Sherlock Holmes to help us figure this all out.
He's not on my list.
I was just doing a reference. Anyway, the other act moving on is, okay, I'm going to try this.
Ksenia?
Ksenia. That's just Ksenia.
The sand artist.
The sand artist. I'm going to say Shin Lim, I can't deny, definitely deserves to advance. Don't know so much about sand artist Ksenia. We're gonna talk about it, but
here's the thing about Ksenia, I think she did deserve to advance.
I put her in my top 4 of the night. I will probably put her in my
top 3, but
anyway, I like I said earlier, I just think it's crazy that I watched this episode and Jackie Evancho
is gone.
Freaking already. Jackie Evancho is not like.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, we'll talk about her in a little bit more. Other notes just to go over before we get into the show. Oh, who got your golden buzzer this week, Eric?
I have to give it to Shin Lim because he never got a real golden buzzer. So
that's fair.
It's still ridiculous to this day.
Before we can get into our acts, I just want to give our weekly plug for that. We are on iTunes. Eric works tirelessly to put together, he takes the audio from our discussions. He puts a lot of hard work into making it more compact. And I just want to tell everyone who is watching this, go check us out on iTunes. If you download the podcast, let us know what you think. We've gotten a couple more subscribers, Eric, which is pretty exciting. We've grown a little bit. Maybe, just maybe, we will finally break out of the 60s. We'll make it into the 70s. We've been in the 60s like for 6 months, like since the Katie Turner interview.
Well, I'm not keeping track of that, but
I don't know.
We are not just available on iTunes. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, anywhere you get podcasts. Basically, you can find us. If you can't find us, let me know because I'd like to fix that.
Yes. All right. So, shall we get into some of these acts, Eric?
Sounds good.
All right. Let's talk about first an act that was a pretty big deal. They were pretty viral when their first video came out, where it was, I believe it was to Footprints in the Sand. It was like a really emotional story. I just remember people who didn't even watch Britain's Got Talent were talking about this act. It is Attraction. They are a shadow dancing group. I think that's kind of how you would
make shapes with their bodies with shadows.
I think they're shadow dancers. And like I said, these guys are just huge. Like this lives up to the champion title. These guys are definitely a force to be reckoned with. Did they live up to the hype for you, Eric?
It's a good. They're cool. I personally was partial to the people who they beat. The person they beat during their season, the comedian Jack Carroll. He was hilarious, and I thought he deserved to win over them. But they're cool. I mean, they pandered really hard, like they did on Britain's Got Talent. They always pander, but it's a good act. I mean, I've just seen it before, so I'm not as impressed by it.
Who's Jack Carroll? I've heard that name before.
He was the comedian that was on stage next to them in that clip where they won.
I've heard that name. Anyway,
the comedian with cerebral palsy he was a child when he was on the show.
Right. Yes. We got some a commenter in our comments. Azad says, "Good episode. Felt the variety more than ever." Yeah, me too. Anyway, going back to attraction, I love these shadow acts. Like these are the acts that it's like variety. It's a contending act that isn't a singer. Usually when you get kind of an act like this, they are usually in it for the long run. I can think of Catapult Entertainment, and that's all of them, but they're usually some pretty impressive acts. And I just want to say, like, this act kind of started really beautifully for me. I was like, yes, this is really amazing. And then the flag kind of came out and it kind of took a turn for me. I don't know. I don't like the kind of pandering, Eric. It didn't do it for me.
They did it on Britain's Got Talent too. The reason they did it on Britain's Got Talent because they weren't from the UK, and they're the first foreign act to win Britain's Got Talent. And they felt like they had to. But I still think the pandering is a little annoying. Yeah. Yeah,
it was also, it took the first couple of seconds was beautiful. Like I was fully invested. I was like, yes, we're doing this again. Like this is the 2.0 to their original act that was everywhere. And then it just, like there's one scene with like a shaking house, which is like a sexual metaphor. Like it just, what is happening? Like this was not the kind of act that I really remember them being. But even still, they're still very talented people. I still love these kinds of acts. But this didn't do it for me. This is weird for me to say because in my mind, they're such this like monster of an act. Like they're such a commanding like threat for the title that you would imagine. And this was a bit of a stumble.
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts?
Nope. Didn't they get like second place for the night?
Did they what?
Yeah, they got second place for the night, right?
Yeah, I think so. Right?
Yeah, they did. And that's really weird because they did so well.
We got another commenter. Same one. Azad wants to know, Eric, was this the best episode of the season for you?
No.
On talent alone, I would say probably yes. Like going into it.
I'm judging on talent alone, and I'd say no.
Well, for me, going into the episode, I would think like I would probably possibly say yes, but the episode kind of didn't deliver. Like going into it, I would say like this is probably going to be the best episode. But yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts. Anyway, which is just crazy for me for attraction. Like they were in my bottom 5.
Yeah.
Attraction is in my bottom 5.
Okay.
All right.
Talk about Jackie.
Let's talk about Jackie Evancho, one of possibly the most iconic name to come from America's Got Talent. Like
one of the biggest successes for a while.
I'm trying to think who. There was Terry Fader and Jackie Evancho were kind of the big names before kind of modern times. Like when it kind of like those were the two people. Like Jackie, like everyone knew Jackie Evancho. And first of all, when she walked on stage, I was like, oh my God, you look entirely different. Like she was a little 11-year-old girl. Now she's like 18, 19. She's like all grown up. It was a little jarring for me because I remember like watching her audition and it was just like this little girl. And now she's like what I was when I was starting college. And it's just crazy. But Eric, I want to ask, did she live up to the hype for you? She performed the music of the night. Was it up to the legendary status that her name brings?
I'm not a fan of the type of music she sings. So I'll just say, I'll put that disclaimer out there. She was amazing as a child. It's a little bit less impressive now that she's a young adult. It's still impressive, but not as much for some reason.
Can we talk about that? Because that's a little confusing to me because I was reading online, like a lot of people were saying like they're less impressed with her as an adult than they were when she was a child.
Because her talent level hasn't changed.
Her talent level hasn't changed. You don't think she's gotten better?
I don't. Do you?
That's a tough question. I think she was kind of born like with this talent that's kind of just head and shoulders above everyone else. It's a question I don't personally know the answer to. I mean, I can't say like bad things about her because she just is such an iconic figure on America's Got Talent. But yeah, maybe that is it. Maybe it is just the fact that she's hit the ceiling of what her talent is kind of capable of. But I don't know. That's a head scratcher. I don't really know. But honestly, this might be a little controversial, but I might have given her my golden buzzer, honestly.
Really?
It would be between one or two other people. She would be in my top 3 for who I would probably pick. She's not on the same level of Susan Boyle, but in my mind, she kind of is in that like legends corner, like the legends of the Got Talent. Like I picture Susan Boyle, like Paul Potts and Jackie Evanko. They are some of the icons. And honestly, just for that alone, this is my bias showing a little bit, but I am a little biased. I'll admit it. She just represents something so huge in the America's Got Talent world that I would be remiss to not give it to her. And that's kind of my thoughts. Am I crazy, Eric?
A little bit. I'm just not gonna. It's tough for me to talk about Jackie Evanko for reasons.
All right. Well, then, one final note I want to touch on for Jackie is I almost didn't want her on the show. She kind of is like, she feels a little above this, like in my mind. Like she is like a star. Like she's a big figure. And everyone else is like, it's Colin Cloud. It's Colin Cloud and Jackie Evanko. Like you can't, like she's just light years above what most of these other contestants are. And for me, that's just Eric is shaking his head already, but like I said, I can't deny what she represents in my mind for the America's Got Talent franchise. And she is just so good. Like
she's not in my top 5.
Damn. My top 3 was kind of interchangeable, but she was in my top 3. Anyway, let's move on to our real life Sherlock Holmes. It is Colin Cloud, a name that I really remembered. I remembered his name when he showed up. I totally
forgot who he was.
I remembered him, but then he mentions Diavolo, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, I have no idea who that is.
I remember Diavolo. I don't remember him.
No, I remember Colin Cloud because I was actually I wrote about him for like an article or something. Like I remember like spending time like researching him a little bit for this article that I was working on. I like him. He seems like a very interesting dude. He seems a little bit too much into his like character a little bit. Do you think? Like he's kind of playing a bit of a character. He does at the core of his act. He is a magician though. He talks about like being this Sherlock Holmes, but it's magic. That's kind of the category he kind of fits in.
It's clearly a plant though, right? We can agree that it's a plant element.
I was about to get to that. So for his trick, he takes this ball with an X and he like crumples it up, puts it in a basket with other stuff. And then the judges throw it out. One person catches the X and they reveal it. And they say, he says, who was your favorite? He had everyone in the audience think of a celebrity. And the person who caught the letter, the X was thinking of David Hasselhoff. And then he did something else. And David Hasselhoff was ending up in the audience. This felt very easy to rig in my mind. Very
easy to rig. And it's too perfect to be by chance. This is the thing.
I mean, here's what I was watching this thinking, this looks very fake. Because all he's got to do is he's got the X. He's got to crumple it up, hide it, like do some sleight of hand and put a different card in there. So now there is no X in that basket. The judge throws it out and one person in the audience is a plant, already has the X, opens it, and it's like, hey, da-da-da. And then David Hasselhoff is kind of just a bit of a cameo there. So yeah, that kind of took it down a bit for me because I remember it being better than this. Like, I don't know. I feel like
the thing is, it's too perfect for because no random person is going to say David Hasselhoff for no reason.
Yeah, Azad in the chat is saying he would have rather seen Oz Perlman. Yeah, I agree. I
would have
remember that name.
who would I have rather seen? Yeah, O's would have been fine. Ross Vax would have rather seen.
Who won O's? Was that Matt Franco? Was that Emily
No,
West? O's.
no, that was Paul's Urban season.
These seasons are starting to run together for me. Like
That
it's
was
just
Paul's
so
year.
much. There's so much America's Got Talent. One thing I do kind of feel, I feel like Colin Cloud probably might have maybe been the victim of, this is just a guess, I don't know, of maybe some manipulation. Producers.
I mean, the producers got him David Hasselhoff for a reason.
Yeah, I feel like David Hasselhoff was there, and they kind of wanted to make him be a thing that he's there because he kind of represents old school America's Got Talent, and they were like, "Hey, Colin Cloud, how about you do a trick?" And David Hasselhoff is in the audience. Why don't we do that? And Colin Cloud's like, "Okay," and there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there we go.
Like I said, I do enjoy Colin Cloud. For me, not his best trick. I would probably bottom 5, honestly, for me.
Yeah, totally.
And that's kind of what I've got for him. But like I said, he is still a very talented person. All these people were really good. Like, even like if this was like a regular week of America's Got Talent, I could still maybe with like some different acts, he might have still had a shot to go through. So that's kind of where I'm going to leave things on him. Next up, we have an act that Eric, I feel, is going to have a lot to say about because he has been tweeting about him quite a bit. And it is Lost Voice Guy, the recent winner of Britain's Got Talent. Eric, could you tell me about this guy?
So I was rooting for him to win for most of the season of Britain's Got Talent. And I was extremely happy when he did.
Okay.
Basically for work, I mean, I work at a disability rights group, and this 7-minute segment that they aired on American TV was basically about as perfect a segment as we can get for what we're trying to do at my organization. So, because it was all about his talent, very, very little about feeling sorry for him. It was exactly what we want. So putting that aside, I think he's also hilarious. I'm just really happy that he was here. And some of the jokes, well, most of them actually, were jokes that I've heard him do before. I didn't really care. I'm just so happy that I got to see him on TV for real.
I just wrote down in my notes, he's very funny. Like he was getting me to laugh. I actually watched some of his Britain's Got Talent videos ahead of the show. I mean, he's a cool dude. Like he's kind of a little bit like snarky, but in a funny way. Like he seems like a very
he's by far the funniest comedian they had on the show this year.
I want to ask you this question because I just this is just me coming from a bit of ignorance, but how does he do his act? Like does he push a button like and that's the joke and he like it reads the line? How does this act work?
Yeah, basically he has all the jokes written out, but they're all separated, so he can still time it out based on the audience and stuff. But yeah, so it's not, he doesn't just press play and it goes through the whole thing. He presses play at the right times.
He's really good. Does he write his own material? Is this his own?
100%.
Because I don't know. There's like almost, I don't know if this is like, it reminds me like a little bit of like the Stephen Hawking voice, like where it's like,
he made a couple jokes about Stephen Hawking in the past, and they're pretty funny.
It's like there's the correlation. I don't know. It's like the Siri voice. Like if you have the Siri voice and it starts telling like dirty jokes, like that's kind of the humor. And I love it. Like I love this guy. Like this guy's hilarious, and his act is great. I'm a little bummed he didn't make it through. He was another person in my top 3 of the night.
He's the one in my top 3 that didn't make it through.
But
and it's tough because, like, again, for the third person, I mean, it's such a toss-up because obviously I'm partial to him because of my work and because I've seen him before and because I was rooting for him to win Britain's Got Talent. Same way I was rooting for Shin to have America's Got Talent. And that was just a giant blur. I'm sorry, everybody. I need to enunciate sometimes. But my God, I'm just so happy you got to perform here, and what a great thing. And he was excellent. I mean, some of the jokes I've heard him do better jokes. I've heard him do worse jokes. This was about a middle of the road routine for him.
I mean, it's great to have someone on the show to kind of it brings some more like these people variety. Can still laugh. They can still like they're still people. It kind of humanizes like some of these people who might have some disabilities that they're struggling with. It makes them more like I can laugh with this guy. Like I don't have to.
Yeah, the thing is, his whole thing about like, you don't feel sorry for me, I'm a terrible person, was one of his jokes.
He's funny. Like I like him. I good for him.
Yeah,
is all I can say. I almost wish like these weren't filmed in advance. Like,
yeah, imagine I would have loved to have voted for him. But.
Imagine a situation where, well, there was this whole story that happened recently, which where the results of these America's Got Talent leaked. Can you imagine a situation where they leak and then he has to go on stage and perform? And
that wouldn't happen because if they taped it, if they didn't, you know what I mean.
We should have had our Sherlock Holmes get to the bottom of the leak and find out what happened.
But the crazy part was that NBC was the people who leaked it this time.
I'm just having a vision of Colin Cobb with a magnifying glass, like outside the NBC office.
Outside of the NBC IT people's office, saying, "Which one of you bastards published the photos from..."
How did that happen? How does that happen? How do you leak your own spoilers? This is one of those reasons where, like, when I'm watching these shows, like, you can't give these guys too much credit, like for certain situations.
The problem is you can't tape things in advance and not expect them to leak. But somehow, I don't know how this all leaked, but none of the Golden Buzzers ever leak from the auditions, from the real auditions.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm just that image. Colin Cloud, like the magnifying glass, he's got that
outside of the NBC.
Outside. And he's pointing at someone. Didn't you do it? Sherlock Holmes is on the case.
Okay. Let's talk about some Sal.
Let's talk about Sal Valentinetti, a name that I remember all the way back from when he was asking Jennifer Lopez in Hollywood Week of American Idol 14 to have a bottle of wine with him. And yeah, same guy, Sal Valentinetti. He's a cool dude. How you doing? I loved his original audition when he performed the My Way by Frank Sinatra. Tonight I say tonight, but it was yesterday, but it was like,
it wasn't last night, it was months ago.
He performs Mac the Knife. And Eric, what did you think? How'd he do?
I think he's good. I mean, I'm personally this is not my style of music that I enjoy the most. But he's good. Problem is there's so many other amazing people this night that he was kind of screwed by association.
Yeah, this was a tough night for Sal, but I'm gonna say for as tough of a night as it was, he was probably my fifth placer for the night, honestly. Like, I really enjoyed this dude. Like, I just, because what he represents, like, I don't know, like, season 14 was one of the seasons that I was most, like, I don't know what the word is. Involved, like, no, like, invested is the word. Invested in a season of American Idol. Like, that was the season of Jax, like, who's still one of my all-time favorite American Idol contestants. And Sal is really good friends with Jax. And by association, you know, kind of what I'm saying, like, they share that connection for me, and that kind of just, it makes me want to root for him on that alone. But even that said, he still just seems like a cool dude. Like, he seems like fun, and he's got a talent. Like, he's really talented. Also, like, since his audition, he lost like a ton of weight. Like, there's this whole story. Like, not only that, but I have like a lot of family who loves America's Got Talent. They love Sal Valentinetti. He's very popular. Like, a lot people like who don't even watch the show know this name. They know how you do, and he's kind of almost like a character. He's like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Like he's like he's like a bigger thing. Did not
come out the way you wanted
that. That did not. Well, you know what I'm saying. I don't mean that in like a bad way.
I totally know what you're saying, but
he's like a larger than life kind of figure. I'm sorry if that came out as a bad way. That was not meant to be like something harsh. But he's a cool dude, and that's really all I can say. His problem is that he was just up against tough competition. Like it's almost like the song "Fix You." Like, when you try your best, but you don't.
That should be the theme song of the champion edition.
That's really the theme of like America's Got Talent, the champion. It's just that song, like
I mean, in fact, if Coldplay is not performing at the finale, doing that in front of a montage of all the people who didn't make it, then what are we watching for?
It's just, nothing against, like, he gave it his all. If I would have one note for Sal, it's just the song kind of, like, he should have gone with My Way again, like the big,
no, definitely not.
Belty
no one
note.
should ever do a reprise if they're coming back to get another opportunity.
I mean, one other act this night did do a reprise.
Who?
Sons of Serendip. They did the same song from their audition.
And that was a mistake as well.
Gonna disagree on that, but we will talk about them in a few minutes. Yeah, I would have probably gone with a bigger song for Sal. Just my opinion. But now I can't stop thinking about Bugs Bunny. Eric, were you a Bugs Bunny fan?
No, I was not a Bugs Bunny fan.
Not a Bugs Bunny fan.
Daffy Duck fan. How about that?
Bugs Bunny. I'm thinking they were not related to the Muppets, right? Was there ever a crossover?
Okay, so by the way, I'm giving each episode titles now, and this episode title is going to be Bugs Bunny is not related to the Muppets, is
he? Oh, God, what have we become? Anyway, let's move on to Tokyo Myers, the winner of not this past season of Britain's Got Talent, but the year before. He, if I'm correct, beat Izzy Simpson. Am I correct?
Izzy Simpson and beat Doliso Chaponda, who was another amazing comedian who I was hoping would have been on this champion position.
Okay. So Tokyo, I'll be honest, I never watched any of his videos. I know the name Tokyo Myers because it was kind of a big thing, but I actually never watched his videos. I thought he was a singer, honestly, but he's not. He's a musician. He does piano and he does drums. It's like this kind of big multimedia thing. Are you familiar with Tokyo? Have you? What are your thoughts on him?
I watched Britain's Got Talent, so I was not rooting for him to win because he's not technically my thing. But he is a lovely guy and undeniably talented. And he's been pretty successful in the UK. His album did really well. He's been on X Factor collaborating with some people. So I'm happy for him. This was good.
Raylan in the chat says, I love watching you. Great job at what you do. And thanks for your time and effort. Thank you.
Thanks.
I believe she's one of our new subscribers. So welcome to the family. Anyway, going back to Tokyo, this is another case of Coldplay. When you try your best.
You didn't like this?
I liked it, but I think he didn't advance because this night was just so difficult. This was like I said earlier, this was a stack night. The crazy thing is I would maybe put him 6th on my list, but he's still
I would probably put him around 5th or 6th, honestly. But yeah, so the crazy thing is he is undeniably talented. He's a one-man show. I think, did one of the judges say that to him?
I don't.
I think one of them did. I think it was Howie. So I'm mad at myself for saying that now because I don't like quoting Howie. But
were you rooting for him on this season?
No.
Who else? Who were you rooting for?
I was rooting for 3rd place comedian Doliso Chaponda. He was hilarious. Check him out. I'm gonna spell his name in the comments because you're not gonna be able to type his name out unless I spell it. And then I was also rooting for Sarah Okumu, who is a Simon's Golden Buzzer. Great singer.
Going for Tokyo, he just seems like kind of larger than the show a little bit. Like he's another act that I would feel like you don't really like. You're above this. Like I'm not saying that in a bad way, but like you.
Well, he's not really above it because he's never been on TV in America before, so for that, I think it's a good opportunity for him. But he did really well. He
is wickedly talented. I just want to say, like, really talented. It's kind of not my thing, though. A little bit, like it's not. But people can like it and people can root for it. Well, I guess I can't vote for it because super fans.
Mm-hmm.
But
I was waiting.
C'est la vie. That's the hand we've been dealt, Eric.
This format really sucks.
Britain's Got Talent. Not Britain's Got Talent. NBC is gonna leak the spoilers again, and no Tokyo. Anyway, kind of all my thoughts about him. I don't have that much thoughts on Tokyo, which is weird to say. So, you ready to keep going?
Let's talk about Ksenia.
Ksenia Simonova, a sand artist who is, I believe, like the second sand artist that we've had on the America's Got Talent stage. There was one other act, Joe. If anyone in the chat remembers his name, he was on the season with Tom Cotter and Olate Dogs. I think he finished in 3rd place. He was very talented. And Ksenia is very talented too. What did you think about this act, Eric?
Well, I've never seen anything like this before because I didn't watch that. So I went into this completely blind, and I have to say I'm genuinely impressed. I thought this was an incredibly unique act. Wonderfully presented, and I think she actually did deserve to go through.
It's very beautiful. Like it's very it's beautiful, majestic to watch.
Unique. It's just like no other show could she go on and do this.
It kind of in a little ways it kind of falls into the same category as like the attraction kind of thing. Like it's
very similar to that, except it's so much more unique because I've never seen anyone do this before. I've seen people do that before.
I gotta tell you, this looks really hard also. Like, she is moving really quickly.
Really hard.
Like, what she's doing, like, I was just really impressed. One point I wanted to make was this story was really depressing. Like, she's telling this story, and I'm watching it, and I'm going, this is really sad.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this? You're making me feel things. You're making me... But, like I said, beautiful. Like, she's definitely like a talented person. I don't know, maybe it's just because I've seen an act like this before, and maybe Eric, you've just never seen something like this before. But I don't know. One thing I did want to point out, which God help me was bothering me so much, was every time she would do like a picture, it would cut to Howie Mandel going, "Oh, it's a blank." He would always be like, "Oh, look, it's a," and I'm like, "Howie, I can see what's happening. You don't need to tell me."
Howie, and like, remember was like when Paul's there and brings up Sam, like, "Oh, he won with Sam. I remember Sam." Like Howie speaks for that annoying person in the movie theater. Like, what's he doing? What's happening there?
It's the most fun to watch Terry pretend to know who these people are when they come up and like shake his.
That's great too.
But oh my God, I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. Howie Mandel is on Facebook. You know the videos, and it has the text above and beyond. Like, oh my God, this is so funny. That's Howie Mandel on America's Got Talent. Like he's telling us how to feel. Don't tell me how to feel, Howie. I'll feel it myself. But anyway, she ends up getting the golden buzzer. Eric, do you think she deserved it?
Yes. There are other people who deserve it as well, but taking out, if you're isolating this performance, yes, it's golden buzzer worthy. I think.
You know, I guess so. Maybe.
But the thing is, you have to separate it from everywhere else, because if you say everyone else was also there, it might not have been as golden buzzer worthy.
I mean, I'm probably, if I'm in the situation, I'm probably very likely giving my golden buzzer to Jackie. And then if I'm looking at the other acts, I'm thinking, if I put Ksenia through, then Shin Lim isn't going through. If I put Ksenia through, then Lost Voice Guy isn't going through.
Yeah.
But
I personally, I would have probably put Shin Lim and Lost Voice Guy through over her, but I can't argue with her.
Yeah, I can't argue. She's undoubtedly talented. She's like a different like puzzle piece, like in the picture. Like,
yeah, very unique.
Very unique, something that kind of stands out. She's got a very nice story. She doesn't have a computer. She seems like a down to earth kind of lady. She won.
Not watching this, by the way, clearly.
She's definitely here, so. She's definitely not watching.
We can say whatever we want about her. No, I'm kidding.
No, but we liked her. I enjoyed her. Anyway, let's move on to our final 3 acts of the night, Eric. First up, we have Constantino, who was the runner-up of Australia's Got Talent. He is an escape artist. Another kind of a unique act that I always love escape artists. Not the biggest fan of this performance, though, Eric. What did you think about it?
I do not watch these kinds of acts.
Really?
Discussed in the past. I don't watch escape artists or danger acts.
You know, escape artists, it never goes wrong a little bit. Like that's the kind of
chance that it could, and therefore I don't watch it.
I don't know if there even is a chance, because
there has to be.
They always like get away just as the thing happens. Like just as he jumps away, the fire happens. Like just as they get away, like the snake attacks. You know what I kind of mean a little bit? Like,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit desensitized to it because this is something we've talked about in the past, but I'm so desensitized to it always going right that an act like almost
Something has to go
wrong for me to know that there is some danger involved, because if everything always goes right, it kind of waters down the effect on me. And that just kind of comes with the surf a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people though were pretty supportive of this dude. Some people even saying he should maybe advance. Were you thinking he should maybe be in your top 5?
No. Well, I didn't watch him, so I don't know. But
yeah, he's in my bottom 5. He kind of starts out his act like all these acts. They kind of have to start out where they're going to explain everything. They're like, "Oh, we got to show you that the lock is a real lock. We got to show you like, all right, and now we're going to explain in excessive detail about the skin will be charred from my flesh as the fire blows me up in flame." I don't know. Like, there's some puns there about going up in smoke and all that stuff. But it kind of takes it away from me because the trick is half, like, you've taken so much of the time to go to explaining it that the actual trick is kind of less of it. But he actually explains this like whole contraption of how it's going to kill him, like brutally. Like, he's like, the water is going to fall and it's going to fill this bottle and this bucket, and the bucket's going to fall and it's going to unleash a trap that's going to pull on the string that's going to shoot an arrow right at me. And I was just thinking, this doesn't work out. You can make Rube Goldberg machines.
That's what I was thinking.
I was thinking that. I was like, it doesn't have to be danger. Like, you're really good at putting these things together. I mean,
I was thinking when you were saying that. I'm like, why wouldn't you just build one of those contraptions?
He's very talented. I enjoy Rube Goldberg machines. I can watch them for an hour. Like the blue ball machine. I like the music. It's kind of like the Tetris music. I don't know. That's just my opinion. But yeah, this was kind of, on this night, this was kind of an obvious bottom tier performance, which is a little harsh to say because he seems like a very cool dude. Like, this dude has lived a life. He looks young, but he has lived a life. And otherwise, like I said, it's just they get away always. I sound like a villain in like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Going back to Bugs Bunny, like they always get away just in time. I don't know, and that's kind of my opinion on him. Any final thoughts, Eric?
Nope.
All right. So let's move on to an act that we're probably going to have a little bit to talk about. It is the Sons of Serendip. They are a musical group. They were on Matt Franco. They were on Matt Franco's season. Am
I right about that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was because it was Emily West. Because we got an Emily West cameo when they show them in the preview, like the intro. There's Emily West. I was like, no. You need to. Eric knows I'm very, very, very supportive of Emily West. I think she's one of the best singers to ever appear on America's Got Talent, along with Brian Justin Crumb. Sons of Serendip. For me, I have very vivid memories of this group. I remember they were on America's Got Talent the season when I was just starting college. And I remember like sitting in my dorm room, like with my computer typing. This was when I was just starting to write it wasn't when I was just starting. I was still writing, but I remember writing articles about them and they were always like on my rankings. And I really loved them back then. Like I was a very big.
And that was my first year live blogging. And then I remember actually that's the year we met each other for the first time in person in New York City. Remember that?
I do remember that. It was in the Nintendo store. Yeah. I remember that. It was good. Sons of Serendip. I have those memories, like that vivid, like connection of like finally like writing. Like, I don't know how to really explain it. It's just like, I have like some, I don't know. It's like a memories thing, but I really like these dudes. What did you think about their performance, Eric?
He's got a lovely voice. I remember liking them, but if I'm honest, I think they were not in my top 4.
I'm going to disagree. They were in my top 4. I remember this performance. They were
not in the bottom tier, but they were not in the top tier. They were in the middle tier for me.
Their audition was Somewhere Only We Know. And at the time, I remember them so much because when I was in college, this was like one of my favorite songs. Like for that year, this was like my all-time favorite songs. And I remember hearing like their rendition and I loved it. The guy has got an amazing voice. Like it's beautiful, it's soft, but it can go big. And I just felt a connection to that. And when I was watching this, I was kind of brought back to those days of sitting in my dorm room, kind of hunched over my computer screen.
It's member berries again.
God damn it, the member berries. It is the member berries. Like it's that nostalgia. That's the word I was thinking of. It's like it's the goddamn member berries. Like I have that memory of being there watching it. And for me, it took me back to those moments and I felt something. Like Adam's like cold heart, like felt something watching America. It's very rare.
People, danger acts to go wrong and people to die so we can know it's real.
Something needs to happen to make my cold heart not so, cynical. And this was one of those, like this was it wasn't the best performance on America's Got Talent. It's just the goddamn member berries, Eric. And I really enjoy them. I almost wish they weren't on the show because I don't want to have to like compare them to other acts because I have like this. It's kind of almost like a don't meet your heroes kind of situation where you have that image of your mind.
Like they shouldn't be on this show because then they're going to lose and it's going to suck.
Yeah, a little bit because I
don't want the idea of having a competition format for this show.
God damn it, Eric. We are going to send Colin Cloud on the case. I should have brought a magnifying glass. By the way, one final note on Colin Cloud. This was just something that I was kind of observing. He looks a little bit like Adam Lambert. Am I the only one?
You might be.
I don't know. I was watching him. I was like thinking, you look like Adam Lambert. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, for Sons of Serendip, I loved seeing the Emily West cameo. The dude's voice is fantastic. The member berries got to me. And that's kind of what I have to say. Do you have any final thoughts on them?
Let's talk about some Shin Lim.
Let's talk about someone who is very, 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 very good at working the camera. I think of all of the acts on America's Got Talent,
the camera like nobody else.
He is very good. He points to the card. He winks. Like he is very good at like getting you invested. He's like when he steps on stage, like the mood's quiets, like everyone is silent, and he just does these goddamn witchcraft things. He's a freaking demon. Like, how does he do this? How does he do it, Eric?
Really, really good at what he does.
What did you think about his performance? He was your golden buzzer on our season of America's Got Talent coverage. Did he live up to the hype?
Well, he always lives up to the hype. He's just phenomenal, plain and simple. He's the best magician I think I've ever seen personally. For the type of magic I like, he's the best at it. I'm so happy he won, as we know, as we established throughout the entire summer. When I was like, I didn't think he was going to win until the finale night when he actually did. I was like, he should win. He deserves to win, but he's not going to win.
I actually recently found my reaction video that I never posted of reacting to Shin Lim winning. I should post that sometime. Maybe if he wins again. But
you're not gonna. Spoiler corner.
No spoilers. Like I said, this dude, he's a wizard. I kind of keep going back to the word witch, but I know that's not the right word. Like he's a demon. He's a magical being. I feel like the word is wizard, but it kind of doesn't fit with like this image of like what I think he is. Like witch is kind of more appropriate, but
he's really good at what he does. And yeah, I'm so happy he's through. Can't wait to see him what he does next time.
Yes, he rounds out my top 3. The dude's just magic. He's magic. He makes me believe in magic.
I don't believe in magic, but I'm thoroughly impressed by what he can do.
If anyone I've ever seen is a real life magician, it's goddamn Shin Lim. And that's really all I can say. And that's our show. Those are kind of the acts of the night. We are going into our final coverage week of America's Got Talent next week. We think. I mean, it's got to be like...
well, the thing is, they taped 7 episodes. So what's the 7th one?
It's Colin Cloud's investigation into the results.
The only thing I can think is maybe they're doing a top 12 performance and then a results show.
I think that's what it's going to be. I think so. Because I remember hearing that there were other acts like that tape performances. I don't remember who, but I remember hearing like there were acts that.
So I think it's going to be a performance show and a result show, would be my guess.
Yeah, I think that's.
But NBC doesn't have a. I need to check the schedule after this because I have no idea what the heck the format is. But whatever it is, I'm excited.
We should also of note the wild cards were officially announced on America's Got Talent's Twitter.
Which means we can now talk about them.
We can now talk about Darcy Lynn and John Dorenbos. One of them is very, very deserving.
Yep.
And that's I would have maybe gone Bianca for the other one, but
I would have considered Bianca. But then again, I'm not mad about it because there's so many singers in the final. But I don't know who I would have gone for the other one.
I don't know. But I gotta tell you, for what this season is, I've really enjoyed it. Like, it's
all things considered, it's been good. I mean, the format's terrible, but I enjoy getting to see all these people again. So,
yes, yeah. Do you think there's going to be a season 2, Eric, or is this going to be it?
Can't be. Who else? Who are we going to have?
Who else is there? Lindsay Sterling, just with her arms folded. She's going to be on stage, and Lindsay Sterling's
my theory, and this theory puts the fear in theory. See what I did there? Is that we're going to shorten the summer season and do 2 seasons of America's Got Talent, 2 regular seasons with Britain's Got Talent format for each one.
No, I hate the Britain's Got Talent format.
Same here. That's why it's a theory, as in I'm afraid this is what they're going to do.
You know what? We are all passengers in Simon Cowell's wild ride, and it's either you get on or you just get off. And
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that idea, but I wouldn't like it either.
So next week it's going to be our final round, apparently, maybe, who knows, of coverage. I'm a little bit sad that we didn't do a draft, so that way I could wear a crown.
Because we would know is the problem.
That would have been.
If there was voting, we could have done a draft. So much things could have happened if there was voting.
I still think it would have been hilarious if this wasn't taped in advance and they accidentally spoiled the result, and all of a sudden Lost Voice guy walks on stage. Like the results have been leaked, and he just puts on oh shit. That's kind of just an image I had. A lot of things to say for this episode, Eric.
Yep.
All right. Well, that is gonna be our show, I guess. Eric, do you have any final thoughts? Any final things you want to touch on?
Not really. Let's just go.
All right. One final thing to note: we will be going live once again. We are going to be going live to finish up our coverage of America's Got Talent, and then we will be coming back for American Idol. I'm sitting at a restaurant. I am finishing my appetizer. That is the America's Got Talent show, and in the distance, I could see the door opening and the waiter coming out with the main course, and I'm getting very excited, Eric. It's feeling a lot like American Idol season.
Season 17, by the way.
Whatever. Season 2, season 17.
No,
potato.
It's not season 2.
All right.
No matter how much ABC wants to make season 2 happen, it's not going to happen.
I am so excited, though. I'm feeling it. It's where I live. It's like spring outside, and whenever it's spring, I always associate spring and American Idol, and I'm getting really excited.
I'm excited too.
I hope it's not a bad season.
For me, it can't be much worse than last season. So,
I loved last season. Last season might have been one of my favorite seasons of all time, up there with the season 11.
For me, everything went wrong last season.
How did everything go wrong? Maddie won.
Every single time I let someone, poof, they're gone. That better not happen again.
I'm trying to think. Who are you talking about?
So, I wanted Mara, Justine, and Ada first.
Well, that's you should have seen that coming because Katie, the front runners in the early rounds never kind of.
Fine, Katie, I like her. She's my favorite. Poof,
I still love Katie Turner.
Poof, she's gone. Second, she's officially my favorite. Then I'm rooting for Cade. Poof, he's gone.
Don't go on.
Then I'm rooting for Gabby. Poof, she's gone.
And then you were rooting down to the wire. You were rooting for Caleb.
I was not rooting for Caleb. That is the one thing.
All right. Hopefully we have a good season. I feel like there's nowhere we can go but down at this point. Like for me, I don't know about you. Like
You're right.
I am at an all-time high on American Idol.
Like for me, X Factor was about as perfect season as we can get.
I mean, like my favorite that I picked from top 24. I don't even know.
Yeah, she won.
She's still like one of my favorite winners. She just released one of her new songs. I listened to it once. It was pretty good. I still love Going, Going, Gone. Like when I'm on my bike and that comes on, like it's that adrenaline rush of it takes me the goddamn member berries of the moment when she won, and I had the goddamn reaction.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, on that note, I want to say that I am Adam Samuel. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Soapbox and at Adam CV Blog. Sorry, messed that up. I'm Adam Samuel at Adam Soapbox. I run my two websites, adamsoapbox.com and adamcvblog.com. Can't even get my own plugs in correctly. Where can we find you, Eric?
Eric_Ascher on Twitter, Eric Ascher01 on YouTube, and ericascher.com.
Yep, and we will be back next week. One final comment, getting it into the last minute. Azad, I would have loved to seen Matt Franco on the Champions against Shin Lim. That would have been rough.
No, it wouldn't have. Shin Lim would have won.
On that note, we will be back. Like I said, this was a fun show, Eric. Thank you for joining me. To our viewers, we're starting to grow our channel. This little project that we started a year ago is starting to. Who would have thought America's Got Talent would be our champion? See what I did there?
No. I see what you did there, but I'm not a person.
I was trying. Oh, one more comment. Raylan is asking, where do you think these superfans came from?
They came from Simon Cowell's imagination and the producers not wanting to give up any control. They used to do a SpongeBob
imagination. I don't know. God. Who knows? You know what? This
is going off the rails. Let's end it while we're ahead.
All right, guys. This was fun. I enjoyed this podcast. I love these. I love doing these. They're one of the highlights of my week. Eric, until next time, to our viewers, please subscribe. Can we please get out of the 60s? We've been in the 60s for like 6 months. Please. On that note, thank you. Peace.